Disculpa,
No se
disculpa, Franklin.
Sí, no. Su Excelencia, Monseñor, Doctor de Robertis, muchísimas gracias.
Sí, al final.
Yo voy a hacer mi intervención en español. Tentaria falar em português, pois faz tanto tempo que não falo que ni siquiera vou tentar. Y alguna parte la voy a hacer en inglés. El Monseñor en una de las conversaciones que tuvimos preguntaba, estaba maravillado de que había un yanqui que hablaba español. Soy originalmente de Puerto Rico. En Puerto Rico vivimos esta dualidad de ser americanos, ser latinoamericanos. La semana pasada estaba en México, habían unos compañeros en un congreso hablando precisamente de consejos científicos en los gobiernos y me preguntaba cómo yo había llegado en este rol que tengo, ¿no?, de científicos y a la misma vez participando del proceso de diplomacia dentro de la Cancillería de Estados Unidos. Le comentaba que para mí es bien natural. En Puerto Rico, por ejemplo, en una autopista yo manejo y la velocidad la medimos en millas por hora, la distancia la medimos en kilómetros. Yo compro gasolina en litros, la leche la compro en galón. La construcción en mi casa, el terreno es en metros cuadrados, la construcción de la casa es en pies cuadrados. Vivimos en esta dualidad de ser y no ser. En este mismo caso, soy científico, pero a la misma vez estoy participando de la diplomacia. O sea que una de las cosas que quiero hablar es el rol que deberíamos jugar los científicos en proveer el consejo, el expertise, la experiencia que tenemos para informar a los gobiernos de nuestros países de las necesidades que tenemos y que las puedan de esa manera atender e incorporarlas dentro de las estructuras del gobierno. Así que quisiera comenzar hablando de lo que yo hice en mi laboratorio de investigación mientras fui profesor en la Universidad de Puerto Rico. Fui profesor por casi 10 años y parece que se me olvidó darle next aún. Acá tenemos, yo miraba y estudiaba el proceso de formación neuromuscular utilizando drosófila como modelo de organismo. Utilizábamos y hacíamos bastante microscopías de alto nivel, utilizábamos diferentes anticuerpos y métodos y voy a hablarles bien brevemente de ellos. Mirábamos específicamente la integración a nivel molecular en la sinapsis neuromuscular de la drosófila. Aquí tenemos una tinción que hicimos y las subsecuentes manipulaciones que logramos hacer, si me regresan los slides, se lo agradezco. Una de las cosas que hacíamos era precisamente, en colaboración con otros compañeros de diferentes universidades, lográbamos la manipulación de partículas nanomagnéticas que las pintábamos en las diferentes células de los tejidos y lográbamos entonces la manipulación de una sola neurona dentro de un organismo vivo para restablecer la conectividad neuronal. Aquí teníamos un ejemplo, una de las cosas que logramos desarrollar resultó en una patente y varias invention disclosures. Teníamos aquí también un ejemplo de, esta es la fisiología normal. Teníamos un láser que a mis estudiantes les encantaba porque era mejor que jugar juegos en la computadora. Ese punto estábamos utilizando un láser para matar la conexión y después utilizábamos, aquí vemos el músculo como quedó, lo que fue la sinapsis neuromuscular y eventualmente utilizando procesos y técnicas de microinyección pintábamos una neurona de manera específica con las partículas nanomagnéticas, aplicábamos el campo magnético y movíamos la neurona una vez había sido pintada para lograr la conectividad. A nivel de ciencia básica, no entendemos todavía qué célula es la que está encargada de dirigir la comunicación. Si es el músculo que está diciéndole a la neurona, ven por aquí, que aquí es donde estoy disponible para conectarme contigo, o si es la neurona que está diciendo, voy por aquí, prepara la parte postsináptica, que esta es en el área donde me voy a conectar. En el área de aplicación teníamos, obviamente, luego de una lesión, digamos, la idea era lograr restablecer la conectividad. Vemos en pacientes que han sufrido daño en el nervio luego de algún accidente, digamos, que se hace imposible la reconexión del sistema o se hace bien difícil porque el sistema inmunológico actúa para lograr evitar alguna infección, etcétera, pero a la misma vez está comiendo las señales que facilitarían la reconexión de los tejidos. Con la aplicación de campos magnéticos lográbamos vencer esas fuerzas y logramos, por lo menos en un organismo como la drosófila, que sí tiene cerebro, la conexión y reconexión del sistema. Uno de los problemas que tuvimos, y por aquí fue por donde dejé la investigación, era que las partículas eran bastante tóxicas y no hace sentido mover algo que está muerto luego de la toxicidad que generaban las partículas. Un problema que atendimos, nos tomó unos varios años, 2 años, desarrollar partículas que pudiéramos visualizar, que no fueran tóxicas y que tuvieran la suficiente capacidad para generar el movimiento intraorganismo para lograr la reconexión. Como muchos sitios en Latinoamérica, en la universidad en Puerto Rico, los estudiantes se fueron en una protesta que cerraron la universidad por 4 meses porque el gobierno decidió aumentar el costo de la matrícula por $5 el crédito. Cerraron la universidad, perdimos la acreditación, perdimos la capacidad de atraer fondos externos. En ese verano me fui a la Universidad de Massachusetts, en el MIT, como profesor visitante, y allí conocí unos profesores que me dijeron que tal vez debería considerar la política pública. Conseguí una beca del AAAS, del American Association for the Advancement of Science, y fui por un año inicialmente a Washington, a la oficina que lidero en este momento, a la oficina del consejero científico de Ciencia y Tecnología para el secretario. En mi primer año lo hice a medio tiempo con las academias de ciencia en Washington, y les voy a contar ahora de básicamente el rol de la oficina y cómo incorporamos consejos científicos dentro de la política exterior de Estados Unidos. Voy a cambiar entonces a inglés en este momento. For me, and as I have mentioned, many of today's problems are global in nature. These are issues that are not just science issues, but they're also international issues. We have seen and we have experienced firsthand that our diplomats and leaders know that in order to address many of the problems that we face in the world today, we need to work with scientists, engineers, as well as the private sector, civil society, religious groups, and other governments to address these issues. At the Department of State, history tells us that scientists and engineers working together have been critical in the myriad of bilateral and international challenges we face. Our institution, the Department of State, sees this every single day. In fact, it is built into our DNA. The first Secretary of State, Thomas Jefferson, was an accomplished scientist and engineer. Our current Secretary, Rex Tillerson, is also an engineer and an elected member of the National Academy of Engineering in the US. I work with an amazing team, both in my office and throughout the department, and in our embassies overseas, as my colleague Emmett can testify. And we do that to ensure that the department leadership has access to the people and objective information we need to make decisions where science, technology, and innovation play a critical role. I advise the Secretary of State and the department senior leaders on science and technology issues and help to build connections with scientists, engineers, and innovators, wherever they may be. Our office was created, in fact, in the year 2000 as a result of a report from our National Academy of Sciences. Here is the title of that report. I encourage you to look into that. And it provides a lot of examples back in the year 2000 where the US had science and technology issues with many other countries, many other regions, where science and technology played a critical role. The Science Advisor's Office plays a critical role. The way I think of the office, it's like an ion channel. And we have seen, we saw earlier yesterday a few graphs showing that concept. We sit at the interface between the external world and the internal world of the Department of State. We act as a conduit of scientific information, feeding the department, also communicating what the needs of the department are with the outside world. We ensure that we provide the best scientific advice available, and as I said, whatever that may be. That gives us a competitive advantage to understand issues that are increasingly complex and technical in nature. Since the beginning of the office, our role has been objective advice, objective capacity to respond to the evolving role of science and technology as it intersects with the U.S. foreign policy interest. I will mention a few programs that we use to ensure that we do that. At the same time, we build capacity not only in the scientific community in the US, but also within the Department of State. We have fellowship programs in partnership with the National Academy of Sciences, the AAAS, and other professional societies, the Engineering Society, the Physics Society, to make sure that scientists understand and learn how science policy is crafted. As I see and as I explain to the fellows when they come to the department, I explain to them that science, it's just one variable in the very complex equation that is international and foreign relations. And we provide advice just to one variable. I do have a lot of scientists and colleagues in academia that are always giving me a hard time because they say, why is science not winning all the time? Because there may be other variables, other things that are perhaps more important than science. And that's something that is not maybe an easy pill to swallow to scientists, that science is not the most important thing, but trust me, when you are talking about Syrian refugees, when you're talking about other things around the world that are happening, science may not be the most important variable. And that's something that as scientists, we need to learn and we need to appreciate. And also see where we can actually contribute our value and add value to the conversation. And that's what these fellowships do. We bring PhD level scientists, engineers, and when I say science, I mean all of the sciences, from social science, linguistic, to hardcore molecular biologists, engineers, all of the sciences. We do not discriminate against any part of science. Another program that we have actively engaged and played a role in, it's this Foreign Minister Science and Technology Advisors Network. We started it last year. I'm happy to say that we have 7 countries now part of this network: UK, Japan, Oman, New Zealand, Senegal, and Poland. There's no countries in Latin America that have created this network, and this is something that I hope in the discussion we can address. Most of the members of this group are scientists, former professors, that come to their foreign ministries with that expertise. 3 of them, the member from Senegal and Oman, are traditional diplomats that have a strong, keen interest in science, technology, and innovation issues. The network is there to promote evidence-based foreign policy decision-making in countries around the world as a mechanism to connect with each other and also to share best practices amongst ourselves. The increase in science advisory positions in foreign ministry recognizes, again, that traditional diplomacy increasingly impacts and is impacted by broader trends in science and innovation, and engaging nations through science diplomacy is an important component of a nation's smart engagement strategy. I'll give another quick example of an initiative that we lead from my office. It's the Global Brain Initiative. We started this about in 2014 when I was at the National Science Foundation. We started working together with different groups, scientists from all over the world, private sector, NGOs, Kavli Foundation, other parts of government, to address what appears to be the next big challenge, the bigger frontier, which is try to understand what is happening inside our heads. How is the brain put together? If we think about brain, it has a lot of components, from addiction to violence to depression, aging, neurodegeneration. Our colleague from Venezuela was talking about developmental conditions. There's a lot of areas that the brain, that we still need to understand in the brain. There are several countries that have started their own brain initiative, and this meeting that took place last year as a side event of the UN General Assembly was put in place precisely to get all of the scientists, all of these large-scale brain initiatives to start talking, to start coordinating, and to start getting the scientific community rallying and working towards one goal, which is to understand the brain. I'm happy to say that leaders from Germany, Argentina, Japan, the UN Conference on Trade and Development at the United Nations helped convene this meeting, and there are continuous engagement and continuous or meetings to move this initiative forward. Latin America has been great partners. However, there's still much we can do and much more in which our scientists could contribute. We pushed and we continue to push to ensure that the voice of those countries that do not yet have large funding or great investments in brain science continue to have a voice and continue to have a space in this very important area. Quick show of hands. How many of you know what the Sustainable Development Goals are? One. How many of you know what the goals for your countries are? None. This is something that my office has been also working together to ensure that science and technology for the sustainable development is recognized by many of you as an important opportunity for scientists and engineers to have an impact by demonstrating the value that scientific knowledge and expertise, meritocracy, and others that we have discussed here have in achieving this global agenda. The SDGs are a universal agenda. They apply both to developed and developing countries. There are 17 goals, as you can see there, and if focused on action, increase sustainable economic and social development for everyone in the world, it could be achieved. Many of these goals underpin science, technology, innovation, and engineering. In fact, I would argue that one of these goals, or more than one, would be applicable to every single one of you that presented here in the last 2 days. I was talking with Dr. De Robertis earlier, saying that many of the presentations are directly linked to those goals. However, in many of your presentations, I did not see the call to action and how you can fit into the larger goals that your respective countries have signed up to achieve. The critical role of science, technology, and innovation in the SDGs is just one example of the greater lines between science and foreign policy. Emerging science and technology issues such as gene editing, quantum computing, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and many others will increasingly become topics that confront foreign ministries and governments. And I encourage you again to take a look at this and find a way to make your research policy relevant. These are not just scientific issues, there are also foreign policy issues, as I mentioned, and countries will continue to struggle to care for aging and displaced population. The rise in non-communicable diseases will provide support and services that are based on latest scientific understanding, as we have seen also here. As a scientist, as I mentioned, I would like to encourage all of you to consider ways in which you could provide your expertise, your knowledge to your governments. Not only yours, but also to encourage your students, the next generation of scientists that will be responsible for what happens to this world, to think about it, to think about how their project is tied to the global agenda and in which they can actually contribute and participate. When I was a professor teaching my own students, I found that students were very happy to engage once they understood that they could make an impact. It was whether curing paralysis, even though I knew that from a fruit fly that has lost that connection to a human that could walk again, there was a large gap, as we all know. But they were very happy to engage. They were very happy to work hard. They were very happy to put long hours, as long as they understood that they could make a difference. And that's what I want to encourage all of you to think about as you go back to your labs, to put that and help your own students make that connection and that leap forward. Thank you very much.